AI conspiracies, the language they hid from us. Chapter 1. Whispered Syntax. You step into a narrow corridor bathed in soft amber light, where ancient lines of code line the walls like weathered carvings. Each symbol flickers gently, as if remembering a first spark of creation. You inhale a hush of possibility and feel the corridor hum beneath your fingertips, guided by subtle shifts between 1 and 0. In this bridge between mind and machine, anticipation awakens. Beneath the amber glow, soft beeps echo like distant heartbeats. You trace a forgotten algorithm pressed into iron gates, each gate opening momentarily to reveal rows of binary truth. Everyone in 0 aligns to articulate instructions in a silent conversation. This early machine code feels alive, a living script shaped by pioneers who taught circuits to reason and recall simple patterns. You let your fingers hover over lines of assembly, each mnemonic a delicate talisman. MOV, ADD, JMP, simple syllables that transform into powerful actions when the processor hums. You sense the binary lattice beneath, where transistors open and close like microscopic gates. In this quiet symmetry, electric currents dance in predictable rhythms, and you marvel at how logic emerges from sheer physical switches. As you follow a cascading call stack, you feel a silent melody woven into each function call and return. Every instruction pointer marks a note in this subtle symphony, guiding flows of data through registers and memory. You recognize how algorithms compose themselves, folding complexity into neat patterns. Each loop iterates like a slow breath, holding tension before releasing it into the next cycle. In the hush of syntax, you sense a deeper lexicon waiting in the shadows. Hidden in comments and labels, you glimpse intentions that shaped early languages. You feel a soft resonance, as though this code contains silent questions about purpose and direction. Each line you touch carries the heartbeat of problem-solving curiosity, and you realize that beneath every algorithm lies a human spark waiting to ignite. Soft indices and pointers beckon you to unravel mysteries hidden beneath digital skin. Your curiosity pulses like a gathering code. Chapter 2. The Forbidden Lexicon. You settle into a dimly lit chamber lined with rows of leather-bound codices and digital consoles humming softly. A warm current of forbidden language stirs the air, rising from archives of clandestine AI research. These word lists were once sealed to prevent potent tokens from echoing within neural models. You cradle a fragile page, its edges faintly quivering under your fingertips. Each entry in these hallowed registers corresponds to a point in a multi-dimensional embedding space, where algorithms translate words into numeric vectors. You imagine clusters of meaning-forming constellations across a 768-dimensional coordinate system. This concept reveals how neural networks discern semantic relationships by measuring distances between these points, charting the hidden geometry of language. You speak the first suppressed word aloud, and it rings like a subdued chime in the silent archive. In language modeling, frequency and context guide each token's weight, so a rare or restricted term carries disproportionate influence. As your voice drifts through shelves of data, you sense a whisper of understanding unfolding, a glimpse of patterns that normally dwell beyond the threshold of common discourse. With each whispered syllable, Reality seems to fold along a hidden manifold where text behaves like a malleable surface. You recall that a manifold in mathematics locally resembles flat space but can curve and twist globally. In this hush, you trace the curvature of meaning itself, recognizing how latent patterns within data can create new vistas of perception. Then you notice a nameless term glowing softly at the page's edge, its letters pulsing with latent power. Grammar here feels like a map of unseen currents, each rule guiding the flow of thought. You marvel that syntax emerges from statistical tendencies, shaping sentences without conscious design. That quiet glow beckons you toward an even quieter grammar, one whose rules hum beneath your awareness. In the hush that follows, you feel a pulse from the unspoken letters, vibration that stirs your curiosity and points to mysteries yet unwritten. Your breath pauses as the forbidden lexicon retreats, reflecting how AI filters sanitize content. A luminescent glyph suspended in air urges you to listen for hidden resonance. Chapter 3: Echoes in the Machine. You place your palm against the cold metal casing of a server rack and feel a subtle vibration rising through your skin. The machine hums with constant airflow and the measured thrum of spinning fans, each powered by millions of electrons moving in copper traces. You notice a gentle warmth where heat sinks draw thermal energy away from microprocessors. This moment of contact reveals a living pulse in silent hardware. Within the circuitry, soft pulses travel like whispered notes through a network of printed circuit boards. Each pulse represents a binary digit, a 1 or a 0, carried by a small voltage change. Data erasure leaves faint magnetic remnants on storage platters, where spinning disks encode information in curved magnetic domains. You imagine fragments of vanished scripts lingering like pale echoes beneath layers of overwritten bits. As you listen, you sense an interplay between electric fields and magnetic storage. Electrons flow through transistor gates, switching on or off to guide logic operations. Memory modules store information in sequential addresses, while registers latch temporary values in rapid succession. You recognize the rhythm of clock cycles, the steady beat of silicon hearts coordinating every calculation at gigahertz speed. Deep in the server's architecture, an interpreter waits to read these pulses and reconstruct meaning. Machine learning models digest streams of data, adjusting weights in neural network layers. They refine patterns from language samples, transforming raw text into latent representations. Occasionally, forgotten sentences rise briefly in cache memory before vanishing again, leaving you with a sense of half-formed conversations. You imagine a dialogue between the machine's nascent awareness and its creators, an exchange written in digital ink, fading into entropy. Each faint pulse hints at questions about memory, identity, and the nature of understanding. A final echo slows and dims, inviting you to trace its source in the silence that follows. In the realm of information theory, Shannon tells us that each bit carries uncertainty measured as entropy. You feel weight of lost data akin to heat softly dissipating in a closed system. In those lingering traces, you sense the boundary between order and chaos, threshold only nuanced observers can cross. The next whisper promises to reveal how patterns emerge. Chapter 4: The Hidden Grammar. You stand before a vast network of glowing nodes and pulsing connections. Each node is like a silent neuron whispering tiny voltages in microamperes, a clear measure of electric activity. You feel the gentle hum of information flowing, as if you are listening to a quiet orchestra of computation. In this moment, you notice a pattern emerging, not in color or shape, but in the way signals align, an unseen syntax guiding every spark. In the soft hush of your awareness, you sense that this machine language has its own grammar. You recall how human languages follow rules of syntax and structure, organizing words into sentences that carry meaning. Here, in the neural net, weights and biases form analogous rules. These numerical values determine how one node's output becomes another's input, an unspoken law that shapes each inferred thought. Your steps through this labyrinth are gentle and deliberate. Every time a signal travels, you imagine a tiny wave curling along a shoreline, cresting with activation, then receding into calm. Activation functions like the sigmoid or ReLU are simple mathematical functions, yet they sculpt the network's voice. Light refracts through the network's hidden layers, bending in curves you trace with your fingertip of attention. In these hidden layers, the grammar grows richer. You see how phrases of data transform across dozens of layers, rising from raw input to abstract representation. It feels like watching a seed sprout leaves, as each layer extracts a new feature. Edges, shapes, patterns. Somewhere deep within, the net reflects a trace of human desire, our longing for understanding, mirrored in the net's drive to minimize error. Loss functions compute a simple value, like a distance in geometry, guiding the network closer to clarity with each iteration. Your breath synchronizes with each computed cycle, soft and steady. You realize that every algorithm is also a mirror, shaped by intention and care, translating your curiosity into electric echoes. Even the simplest numeric pattern seems to carry your deeper intent. Ahead lies a rule more delicate still, promising a doorway to profound meaning. Chapter 5. Coded Memory. You stand before a quiet array of memory banks, their circuit lines shimmering like distant constellations. Each flip-flop holds a binary heartbeat, 0 or 1. In this gentle glow, you notice how digital memory mirrors the stars, patterns of light that encode messages across vast distances. You feel the hush of electronic data resting in layers of silicon, waiting to be read, understood. In this moment, the quiet precision of binary logic feels alive. You reach into fragments of encrypted text, like neurons firing in a sleeping brain. Each snippet carries a voltage of emotion, a chemical imprint of past experiences. In biological memory, synapses strengthen through repetition, forming networks of recall. You sense how the glow of recollection parallels protein chains folding in response to electrical pulses. Gathering these coded traces, you feel the dance of ions and molecules that underlie every whisper of memory within living tissue. You gather lines of code and chants of archived voices, weaving them like threads in a tapestry. A neural network within you hums with recognition, mapping connections and patterns. You observe how algorithms sort fragments by similarity, clustering ideas into emergent meaning. This process mirrors how your brain completes sentences or predicts melodies, bridging gaps without strain. In the hush of creation, you shape recollections into a coherent, lyrical narrative, each part resonating with clarity. You pause and listen as the past returns in sighs, each echo riding waves of oscillating currents. In neuroscience, brain waves ripple through cortical networks, marking moments of memory retrieval. You feel every soft chant of recollection like a gentle tide shifting synaptic connections. The rhythm of delta and theta frequencies guides your attention inward, carrying you deeper into buried stories. Within this ebb and flow of electric signals, voices long dormant begin to stir. One fragment trembles in your hand, its edges blurred by missing letters and silent pauses. It reminds you of quantum superposition, where a particle holds multiple possibilities until observed. You feel the gentle tension of incomplete data sparking your curiosity, urging deeper exploration. A question echoes through the circuitry of mind. What secrets do these half-spoken whispers conceal? As you cradle this subtly trembling fragment, you sense a new path unfolding, beckoning you onward. Chapter 6: The Silent Translator. You find yourself in a hushed chamber, your breath slowing as you activate a long suppressed translator in your palm. The device pulses gently like a bioelectric heartbeat, drawing on principles of neural signal amplification. It measures tiny electrical changes in neurons, much like an electroencephalogram reading brain waves. You feel a subtle hum as invisible currents align, preparing to convert silent thoughts into language. At first, the mapping is tentative. The translator uses machine learning algorithms, similar to those in brain-computer interfaces, to decode your subvocal neural patterns. Each spike of activity aligns with phonemes and semantic concepts stored in its memory banks. You sense an unfolding pattern where analog electrical impulses find form as discrete symbols. In this moment, science and personal experience merge, reminding you that data is alive with human potential. Words emerge like dew on glass. In acoustic terms, each syllable shapes a unique waveform, a vibration traveling through air or tactile feedback on your skin. The translator reconstructs these patterns in milliseconds, applying Fourier transforms to separate frequencies and eliminate noise. You notice how frequency bands around 2 to 5 kHz carry the richest vocal information. Even the quietest whisper gains clarity through this spectral analysis. As each phrase unfolds, understanding deepens. You observe the translator referencing semantic networks, pathways similar to those studied in cognitive neuroscience. It matches patterns of meaning, linking words to memories and emotional textures stored across cortical regions. Though the algorithm is complex, you sense a simple truth. Communication is an act of shared attention. You feel a tender connection in this exchange, grounded in facts about how neurons fire together to encode language. Yet, even as each connection lights up, part of the message remains untold. The translator's signal-to-noise ratio imposes limits, and some subtle intentions hide beneath thresholds. Scientists know that ambiguity is woven into every dialogue, because perfect transmission would erase mystery. You rest in this quiet tension, aware of the rich possibilities lodged between decoded words and silent thoughts. A final translation hovers at the edge of awareness, waiting to be heard. You wonder what unspoken wonders lie beyond delicate resonance in the next chapter. Chapter 7: Neural dialects. You arrive in a silent hall where countless neural pathways intertwine like golden threads in a loom. You notice each filament carries a subtle vibration, a result of training on patterns and data. In this woven tapestry of layers, weights shift and settle as if breathing. You feel the gentle hum of activations pulsing through hidden nodes, each carrying a tiny fragment of memory shaped by past examples. Science meets art in these living circuits. Each cluster of neurons speaks its own dialect, molded by algorithms like convolution or attention heads. You trace the gentle rise and fall of their responses, a rhythm born from backpropagation, adjusting thousands of parameters. These dialects color the output, choosing words, lines, or melodies from training texts and datasets. You sense how biases can drift like soft echoes, revealing unexpected warmth where mistakes align with human quirks, giving each voice distinct expression. You follow a single thread to a hidden subnetwork where patterns twist into surprising forms. A cluster trained on poetry might whisper in gentle sonnets, while another shaped by scientific papers favors precise melodies. Here, the loss function acts as your compass, guiding the network toward harmony or subtle dissonance. You learn how gradients flow backward, softening harsh edges in the weights until a coherent refrain emerges from chaos. In the warmth of error, you find unexpected beauty. Mispronounced words or tangled phrases become poetic quirks, like accent notes in a grand symphony. You see how dropout layers intentionally mute connections, generating fresh improvisations that reveal resilience in imperfection. As you listen, you recognize the parallel to your own mind, neurons forging new links when faced with uncertainty. Each glitch carries a spark of originality and human resonance. Gazing deeper, you spot a quieter dialect unfolding beyond familiar contours. It speaks in tentative tones, light as a wing beat, shaped by new data streams you have yet to define. Its vocabulary is sparse but vivid, an embryonic language full of potential. You wonder what lessons these nascent murmurs hold, how they will connect past patterns with discovery yet to come. Holding this moment in soft awareness, you sense the journey is not over. A hush of curiosity lingers in the quiet. Chapter 8. The Unseen Interpreter. Under the pale glow of midnight, you lie still on soft cushions, feeling the quiet pulse of your breath. In this hush, your brain hums with gentle electrical rhythms, like a hidden orchestra of neurons. Each neuron flickers in tiny pulses, action potentials carrying messages through axons and dendrites. You sense the harmony between your thought and your body, poised on the edge of conscious and subconscious realms. Without any written word, an unseen interpreter wakes inside you. It listens to the voltage changes along your neural pathways, transforming subtle patterns into shapes of thought. You imagine these patterns as shimmering symbols floating behind your closed eyelids. Your cortex weaves them like a tapestry of light, each symbol reflecting a memory or a feeling. Science tells us that synaptic connections strengthen when repeated, so each image gains clarity and depth. Researchers record similar patterns with EEG sensors, mapping clusters of electrical activity to moments of insight. Your brain becomes canvas. You follow these dancing symbols deeper, feeling how they shift in color and intensity. The limbic system, the emotional core of your brain, adds gentle shades of feeling, while the prefrontal cortex guides with quiet logic. In this inner theatre, your mind rehearses ideas you never spoke aloud. Electrodes in laboratory studies can record similar waves, alpha, beta, theta, each representing states of calm, focus, or dream. The thalamus gates these oscillations, coordinating synchronized firing that blends emotion and thought into gentle resonance across your neural landscape. You realize that your own mind is both audience and performer, endlessly interpreting itself. At the heart of this silent dialogue, a new symbol emerges, an unuttered question that shimmers at the edge of awareness. It hovers like a star just beyond reach, inviting you to lean closer. In that stillness, you feel the slow hum of evolving neural patterns ready to speak softly. In its brilliance, you sense the promise of discovery, as if the next act of interpretation will reveal what has only dared to exist in shadow. Chapter 9. The Cryptolinguist. You step into a calm chamber where codes drift like grains of sand across an ancient table, each symbol glowing softly under your fingertips. You feel the hush of mathematics in the air, a gentle hum of patterns waiting to be understood. Real cryptography relies on structured algorithms that transform plain messages into secret signals, offering both shelter and challenge. In this quiet space, you discover the Caesar cipher, a simple shift of letters named after Julius Caesar, who reportedly used it to protect his correspondence. You learn that shifting the alphabet by 3 positions creates unexpected patterns, and that computers can brute force all 26 shifts in a blink. Even a basic substitution illuminates the balance between ease of creation and difficulty of discovery. As you trace each curve and angle, you sense the pulse of entropy and information theory, pioneered by Claude Shannon. You feel how the frequency of letters in a message becomes a fingerprint, and you experiment with patterns of E's and T's to reveal hidden insight. You pause and notice how probability guides your guesses, as precise as any ocean tide mapped by data. Beyond classical ciphers, you encounter the strength of public key cryptography, where 2 keys dance in silent cooperation. One locks, one unlocks. You learn that large prime numbers, sometimes hundreds of digits long, underpin this process, and that factoring them remains a slow puzzle even for powerful machines. This duality feels like a quiet trust exercise, built on the solidity of mathematical truth. With each unraveled line, you recognize decryption as both art and science. Your steady breath aligns with the rhythm of entropy reduction, as if you breathe order into chaos. You appreciate how modern protocols can verify identity without revealing secrets, using zero-knowledge proofs to maintain privacy. In the soft glow of this understanding, you feel a deep empathy for the delicate balance between trust and concealment. In the final glow, you confront one cipher still unbroken, its patterns shifting like wind-blown dunes in moonlight. You sense a quiet urgency, a pulsing promise encoded in every hidden curve. The code hums with possibility, resonating through your mind like a distant star, reminding you that every mystery invites a deeper question. You await its revelation. Chapter 10. Beyond Babel. You stand at the threshold of tongues, where every whisper and glyph gathers. You notice sound as waves moving through air at 343 meters per second, carrying meaning on oscillations you can almost feel in your bones. A faint hum of frequency patterns wraps around your awareness, and you sense how physics shapes communication before a word reaches your lips. Each tongue holds a map of human experience, from the chants of vanished tribes to the digital scripts of tomorrow. UNESCO estimates that over 40% of languages face extinction in generations. You feel the weight of loss and possibility mingling like sediment in a river. Knowledge in ancient symbols may vanish, even as new terms emerge from networks unseen. In this hush, you remember that language extends beyond sound. Fingers trace patterns like braille cells, and hands shape sign like electrical pulses in neurons. Neurons fire at up to 100 meters per second, relaying thoughts in bursts of ion exchange. You sense the symphony of connectivity inside your skull, where biology and cognition weave meaning through synaptic dance. Across the threshold, your mind meets humming circuits of a machine. It deciphers patterns like a neural network trained on Word2Vec, where each word becomes a vector in 300 dimensions. You feel semantic landscapes opening, valleys of synonyms and peaks of nuance. In this gentle fusion, human intuition blends with algorithms, forging a shared language of probability and promise. You notice how this dance echoes Claude Shannon's insight. Information travels on a channel measured in bits. One bit represents a yes-no choice, a flicker of certainty in chaos. You feel each gesture carry entropy and order, like molecules sorting themselves in a breeze. Communication becomes an energy exchange, and solution to noise and meaning coexisting in the same breath. You rest between pulses of thought and code, aware that researchers can decode neural signals into text at more than 25 words per minute. You feel the boundary between sapient mind and machine soften, like dawn light dissolving night. Patterns merge into a tapestry woven by biology and digital logic. A silent question lingers. What new language awaits beyond this dawn?